beat it?
Yeah.
Prove it. Okay. No. No. Alright, so I beat God of War, I don't know, 2 weeks ago now. Do you guys finally understand why it was killing me to not be able to talk about like the second half of that game?
Yeah, there's a lot that can happen in this game. Whether you played the original 8 or 7 or not, like the fact, obviously, when you get the Blades of Chaos, that's pretty huge. And then you start to find out who everybody is. Even like finding out that the Witch of the Woods is Freya. Freya is Baldur's mom. She took those green arrows away from Atreus, presumably because she knows they could kill her son. Is that why, I guess?
I think so.
I don't know. Yeah. But a lot happens, like, first off, the Blades of Chaos. Like, you just played through all the games for your video that you did recently.
Yeah.
That part was pretty awesome.
That was, like, that's the big moment that's, like, so rewarding if you've played all the previous games because, you know, like, they build it up so well. He's like, oh, I gotta go home. And you're like, oh, shit.
It's so comfortable with the axe. You're like,
Right?
this is Kratos now. Like, I just understand that he's
you
different.
accept it.
And the game takes you through so many lengths to, like, improve and get good with it.
Such a rhythm.
Yes, and then it's just like, oh my god.
All right, brother. Let's see what those blades can do.
Your range is extended so much. It was hard for me to go back to the axe after getting Blades of Chaos.
I mean, those blades are super awesome, just from a fan perspective too, because even throughout some of the combos you can do, they're all like kind of like really based off of some of those old
Yeah,
combos you do in the
like,
war games.
When he whips them together and like slaps them at the end, that's the square from the old games.
Totally, yeah. All the runic attacks are like based on like attacks from those old games.
Right.
Like it feels really good, but it feels kind of better in this game, like because it still retains that like I still need to like think about what I'm doing and like think about like enemy management and like placement in a way that this game adds.
And they have a lot of weight to them too. They're not like these things that you're just sort of swinging like that weigh nothing. Like you can sense Kratos is like hefting his weight into these like heavy metal chains.
I think that's really the best part of this iteration of the blades because I mean I was actually talking to Ed from our Australian office and he didn't really like the older God of War games because of like just the way that those blades felt, but like we were talking about just how this game really like gets across that sense of weight that you're actually hitting dudes with these weapons.
I don't walk away from video games ever like mimicking what I've been doing like back in the real world, but like I get through like 20 minutes of playing God of War and Mike comes up to talk to me and I find myself while I'm listening to him like roar, like mimicking Kratos because I've still got that like energy built up in me because it's so convincing. It just comes across like really well.
So that's what's cool about this game. Like it accomplishes so much. It's like almost a soft reboot for the series itself, but they still acknowledge Kratos' past as this huge dick who killed a bunch of people who didn't deserve it, killed the entire pantheon of Greek gods essentially. He killed his dad. Athena comes back right when you get the blades, right? And then she's in the boat on the way back to get the blades, and then on the way out of the house when you're about to fight all those dudes, she's there, and he just walks through her, right?
But there is one unavoidable truth you will never escape. You cannot change. You will always be a monster.
I know. But I am your monster no longer.
But also, this sets up a new, saga really well. Like whatever it happens, like to be a trilogy or whatever. It's a really great first entry. It sets up the conflict with Freya down the road because he killed her son.
Right.
And it sets up, if you go back to your house, you see Thor.
That also raises the question though, because we also find out that Atreus' other name is Loki.
Yeah.
Who is son of Odin, right? In Norse mythology as we know it.
So in the Marvel movies, he is Thor's brother and son of Odin, but in traditional mythology, he's not.
He's like not adopted or something.
He's like this like offshoot rogue god who helps them when he agrees with them, but when he disagrees with them, he helps the giants. So Ragnarok starts when Loki kills Baldur, which kind of happens here.
Yeah.
and then all that shit goes down. The giants go to war with the humans. So what? Atreus or Loki is giant, human, and god. So he's pretty much the centerpiece of this whole Ragnarok thing. Presumably Ragnarok has started now.
Before we return to Midgard, I should warn you. More time has passed than you likely realize. The snowball that began when you slew Balder has become something else. The stuff of omens.
For the coming of winter.
Not just any winter. A great winter to span 3 summers. And when it's done, Ragnarok begins.
There is another thing that is definitely twisting the mythology as it's known. Mimir in the game, right? He's on Kratos' belt the whole time as his disembodied head.
Yeah.
But in Norse mythology, he's on Odin's belt the entire time.
I didn't know he was an actual person. I thought he was a character.
No, he's totally legit. I looked him up because I was wondering about how much can I spoil in the review? What is actually known about this character? And the image that they show on Wikipedia is is just a beheaded body, and then I started reading and it's like, oh shit, yeah, he was giving Odin advice or insight or whatever in mythology. So that's kind of interesting that they did that.
Yeah.
But then obviously the huge reveal in the second ending with Thor,
Yeah.
friend or foe, right?
You killed 2 of his sons. You have to assume he's
That's
right?
sort of an enemy.
But maybe he's pissed off at Odin or something. I don't know. Maybe that's just
They
misdirection.
set up
turmoil.
Thor as this massive asshole the entire game.
Yeah, he's Jormungandr's enemy, the world serpent, and him always hated each other.
Yeah.
That's why he just bit the statue, and subsequently why he
Totally,
had to go
they
into
talk
his-
about how he's just filled with bloodlust and murdered all of the giants. I don't think
it was him who killed with Mjolnir. He killed all the giants, the hammer or whatever.
Sure. I feel like that'd be such an obvious thing just to make him your enemy and put him right there.
Because I feel like Freya isn't beyond coming back to help you, even though you killed or fucked up her son. But I like how that final battle with Balder is Kratos trying to protect his kid, even though Atreus is a badass during that fight. He's diving off the edge while Kratos grabs Balder. But then it's also her trying to protect her son. It's that really cool dynamic between 2 parents who really have no other choice. I would have rather Freya helped us out instead of screwing us over, but I get it.
Right.
I'm not a parent, but I assume it would suck to see your kid get the shit kicked out of him.
I don't care if he kills me. I will protect him. I will not let him die.
I was really hoping there was going to be a fight with her in the game as it is right now. But I've gone back to her place, through her cave, and can't really do anything. And they talk about her. Mimir says, oh, she's probably plotting your demise right now. What are you doing going here? I can't seem to figure out if she's going to be in here or not.
And that final fight did such a great job. Jean-Luc, you mentioned this earlier, how obviously the older games, right away at the beginning of 2, you fight the Colossus of Rhodes. At the beginning of 3, you fight Poseidon, and you're climbing all over him. And then obviously you fight Kronos, the Titans are enemies. But I love how she starts controlling the mason giant with the chisel through his head, and then Atreus is trying to free you, and then all of a sudden he's like, all right, fuck it, and he calls the world serpent, and the world serpent just comes out of nowhere. The scale of that battle is just such a good callback.
Well done, boy.
There was scale when you're talking to the world serpent, when you're, just the actual scale of the world, but that reminded me of old school God of War boss
I
fights.
think anyone who's concerned about oh, it doesn't feel like God of War doesn't have that epic moments. They really bring that out at the end there.
If anything, it's just enhanced by the fact that the camera just stays so low to you. Everything. I just feel like a tiny dude, and all this stuff is happening. Things are going
It also felt more impactful because they saved it to the end, as
Yeah.
opposed to God of War 3, which is it starts off with this giant thing, and then it kind of scales down, and then it kind of ramps it back at the end. So for to have it happen just at the end, it gave it more weight.
Yeah.
But spectacle aside, that fight was very easy, I thought.
Yeah,
Compared to some of the things I'd come up before
Yeah.
that, it felt like a really lackluster sort of challenge at the end of this long haul. So now it's about, the Valkyries, and it's about mastering Niflheim.
Yeah.
Which I can appreciate, I guess.
I really, really liked Atreus' arc. There was that part when he finds out he's a god and he's kind of a dick, especially to Sindri at that one point, which Kratos calls him out for afterward, but he's I'm tired of caring about little people and their little problems, and in his defense, obviously he was a sick kid, he didn't get to get out and explore a lot, but I like how toward the end he's just confident dude. Kratos is like, stop him, like Baldur's running up the giant to attack Freya, and Atreus stops him, and then he's like an actual. Throughout the game, I think the gameplay and the story actually let you rely on Atreus more and more, especially because like you were saying, Pete, like his magic arrows kind of get a little bit OP. Yeah, especially his lightning ones, which is what I like dumped all experience into as soon as I could. But I really like Atreus' arc, and then like Kratos says when they're looking at the murals in Jotunheim, it is kind of his story toward the end of it, if not the whole time. You just didn't know it.
Feel like that's the logical conclusion? That like Kratos is going to die and you get to play as Atreus?
I thought he might.
Yeah, I think they're working towards that, really.
Sony Santa Monica took a lot of risks with this game. I found myself thinking throughout the game, Kratos is probably going to die toward the end. That suits the whole theme of him preparing Atreus for the world without him and his mom. Yeah.
Because, like, seriously, like, beating the 8 Valkyries brings you to a bigger fight, and the whole point is to open up Valhalla so that people can actually go somewhere when they die. Because right now, Valhalla's closed, and that's why there's all these, like, undead running around the world.
Right.
So there's seriously opportunities for other things to happen, I feel like. I don't think Kratos is going to die, but
if
like,
not in this game,
the question mark is in the air. Like, what will happen when Valhalla opens up?
Maybe by the third game you're playing as Atreus, or like...
That's my prediction.
Then you have to like, I don't know, you don't have the whole co-op angle. But in general, like I said, I love how this like balances that. It's a kind of a reboot mechanically, but it's also acknowledges the past in a cool way. Kind of like, again, I keep saying it reminds me of Uncharted 4 and the way they address Kratos' character and the way Naughty Dog addressed Nathan Drake. But it also sets up like this whole new saga. And one thing that we wanted to talk about before that like a lot of people might miss, there's that one, you know those cabinets you're opening up and Atreus is reading the runes or whatever they are, the legends? There's one that you see and it's saying like, oh, he was it Tyr, the giant, traveling to all the different...
No. Tyr's a god. He's the god of war, which is how they justify the name of the game.
Tyr is?
Yeah,
Tyr,
he's the Norse god of war.
Gotcha.
And the idea is he was visiting these other realms just to accrue like knowledge, because he was actually like a very peaceful god of war. And they kind of set up like, oh, he visited, Greece.
What are those runes in the corners?
Not runes. Symbols from different lands. They mean...
War.
Aye.
How do you...
This one I know too well.
You see Kratos' sign,
Exactly.
which also is the clasp
And
on
then
his axe.
even again, there's another time where they mention like Egyptian gods, and they are setting up this world where all these different mythologies like exist at once.
Yeah.
And so the idea of like, man, what if this new series of games doesn't even just contain itself to Norse mythology? What if they start to sneak in like other
You
things?
see the Eye of Horus up on the top left of that rune and whatnot.
And they kind of
then
established that like Odin is like this figure who wants to like have everything that he can't touch, and that would include
other realms, Olympus,
other places.
I think there's still a lot of stuff to mine out of Norse mythology.
Definitely, I don't necessarily need them to lead it quite
so,
away.
But either way, it seems like there's a lot of ways it could go from here. I'm excited to see what they do. I'm also excited to like see who might direct it. Like Cory Barlog obviously did a great job in this, and he did God of War 2, but they're not averse to switching it up.
I mean, there's still 2 realms locked in this game.
Yeah,
it's true. We got a lot to see.
Asgard
and Vanaheim.
I never expected myself to be like actually like excited about like God of War in the sense of like I just want to talk about the story and like the characters in the world and like what's next.
Which is so crazy. I mean, just the fact of what this game does for the God of War series in general, just the kind of like the way that it takes this character Kratos and totally like expands upon it and actually acknowledges all this terrible stuff he's done, because we always hated him. He was always a jerk. But then we have this story and this new one that makes us care about him, that makes us like understand and empathize with his plight and how that stuff has impacted him. Like seriously, like all the different things it does with its story by the end of it, especially with Kratos' arc, which is like the one thing I love about this game so much. It's just unexpected and it's a huge surprise. Like I did not expect a God of War game to make me get so invested into its story, at least in this way.